For 27 seasons, Nolan Ryan threw baseballs harder than any human being should be able to. He was a living, breathing nightmare for hitters and an ageless wonder who defied everything we thought we knew about athletic longevity. But how good was the man they called the Ryan Express, actually? Lynn Nolan Ryan Jr. was born in 1947 in Refugio, Texas, but his family moved to Alvin when he was just 6 weeks old. Ryan's father delivered newspapers for the Houston Post, and little Ryan would help with the route, developing the arm strength that would become legendary. By high school, he was throwing so hard that catchers refused to squat behind the plate without extra padding. Local legend says he once threw a ball through a wooden fence during practice. Young Nolan had something special in his right arm, something that would eventually terrorize major league hitters for nearly 3 decades. Here's the thing about Ryan. He was wild. Not just a little wild like most young pitchers, he was dangerously, unpredictably wild. Batters never knew if the next pitch would be over their head, behind their back, or splitting the plate at 100 miles an hour. That wildness would define his entire career, making him simultaneously the most feared and most frustrating pitcher in baseball history. The New York Mets drafted Ryan in 1965 when he was just 18 years old. They saw the raw talent but had no idea how to harness it. Ryan spent years in the minors trying to find the strike zone, walking nearly as many batters as he struck out. After a brief stint in 1966, Ryan played in the majors for his first full season in 1968. Ryan, still that wild kid from Texas. The Mets used him sporadically, mostly as a reliever, but in 1969, something clicked. Ryan became a key piece of the Miracle Mets World Series championship team, although he was still more promise than performance. The Mets, though, had seen enough. They believed Ryan would never develop consistent control, so in December 1971, they traded him to the California Angels for veteran shortstop Jim Fregosi. It would go down as one of the most lopsided trades in baseball history. When Ryan arrived in California in 1972, Angels pitching coach Tom Morgan made a crucial decision. Instead of trying to tame Ryan's wildness, he told him to just let it rip. "Don't aim the ball," Morgan said. "Just rear back and fire." The results were immediate and spectacular. In 1973, Ryan threw his first no-hitter against Kansas City. Then he threw another one against Detroit. And then a third against Minnesota in 1974. 3 no-hitters in 2 seasons. Something that seemed impossible. But it was his strikeout totals that truly amazed people. In 1973, Ryan struck out 383 batters, breaking Sandy Koufax's modern record of 382. The old record had stood for just 8 years. Ryan's would stand for 28. Hitters described facing Ryan like standing in front of a firing squad. They couldn't see the ball clearly. It was just a white blur that exploded into the catcher's mitt. Reggie Jackson, one of the era's premier sluggers, is rumored to have said, "Trying to hit Ryan is like trying to drink coffee with a fork." In the late 1970s, radar guns became common at baseball stadiums, and suddenly everyone knew what the hitters had been dealing with. Ryan regularly threw 100 miles per hour, sometimes 101 or 102. This was decades before modern training methods and sports science. He was doing it on Texas barbecue and pure genetics. The wildness that had plagued Ryan early in his career became part of his mystique. Hitters knew he might throw 102 miles per hour over their head, followed by a 98 mile per hour fastball down the middle. The uncertainty was psychological warfare. Many hitters were beaten before they ever stepped into the batter's box. When Ryan threw his third no-hitter in 1974 against Minnesota, striking out 15 batters, the Twins hitters looked completely overmatched, swinging at air and hoping for the best. After the game, Minnesota manager Frank Quillisi said, "Ryan pitched like he was mad at the world." In November 1979, Ryan shocked the baseball world by signing with his hometown Houston Astros. The Angels had lowballed him, thinking his best years were behind him. Ryan was 33 years old, ancient for a power pitcher. Conventional wisdom said his arm should be falling off. Conventional wisdom was dead wrong. Ryan's Houston years were arguably his most dominant. In 1981, he threw his 5th no-hitter, breaking the record previously held by Sandy Koufax. The baseball world was running out of superlatives. But it was more than just the no-hitters. Ryan was striking out 200-plus batters year after year, while guys half his age were breaking down. In 1989, Ryan came home again, signing with the Texas Rangers. Now he was 42 years old, but he still had magic left in that right arm. Texas fans embraced Ryan like he was the second coming, and he didn't disappoint them. In 1990, he threw his 6th no-hitter against Oakland, striking out 14 A's hitters who looked helpless against the ageless wonder.
Nolan Ryan, the 2-0 pitch. Fly ball, right field. Robin Ventura in foul territory. Number 6 for Nolan Ryan.
But Ryan's Texas years were about more than just individual achievements. They were about proving that athletic greatness doesn't have to follow conventional timelines. On May 1st, 1991, at age 44, Ryan threw his 7th and final no-hitter against Toronto. This one was special because it seemed impossible. Ryan was clearly slowing down. His fastball was only 98 miles per hour instead of 102. But he compensated with guile, changing speeds and locations like a chess master. The Blue Jays never came close to a hit. Roberto Alomar, one of the best contact hitters of his era, struck out twice and later said, "I felt like I was 18 years old again, just hoping to make contact." The final out was a strikeout of Alomar on a 96-mile-per-hour fastball that seemed to rise as it crossed the plate. 7 no-hitters seemed like a number that would never be reached, said longtime baseball writer Peter Gammons. And then Ryan threw his 7th at age 44, and suddenly it seemed like a number that would never be broken. The most iconic moment of Ryan's career came on August 4th, 1993. He was 46 years old, facing 26-year-old Robin Ventura of the Chicago White Sox. After Ryan hit Ventura with a pitch, something that had happened thousands of times throughout his career, Ventura made a decision he would regret for the rest of his life. He charged the mound. Bad decision. Ryan grabbed Ventura in a headlock and proceeded to pummel him with 5 quick punches to the head while Ventura flailed helplessly.
Here's Ventura, RBI single in the first. Watch out. Look at this.
The image of the gray-haired pitcher dominating a man 20 years younger became an instant classic. Texas fans still chant, "Nolan, Nolan," whenever Ventura's name is mentioned. What made the fight even more legendary was the context. Ryan was having one of his worst seasons, his body finally showing signs of wear. He was 5-5 with a 4.88 ERA, clearly struggling with the effects of age. But in that moment, he proved that even at 46, he was still the toughest man on the field. White Sox manager Gene Lamont said, "I've never seen anything like it. A 46-year-old man just beat up a guy in his prime." Robin came back to the dugout and said, "That old man is stronger than he looks." The fight became a cultural phenomenon. Video of Ryan pummeling Ventura was played on every sports show for weeks. T-shirts appeared with slogans like "Don't mess with the Express" and "Age before beauty." Ryan had become more than a baseball player. He was a folk hero. Ryan finally retired after the 1993 season at age 46. He struck out his last batter on a 98-mile-per-hour fastball on September 17th. Ryan's final appearance ended in injury on the 22nd when he tore a ligament in his pitching arm. He walked off the mound to 46,000 fans, giving him a standing ovation that seemed to last forever. President George H.W. Bush, a longtime friend and fellow Texan, later said it was one of the most emotional sporting events he'd ever witnessed. Watching Nolan walk off that mound for the last time was like watching the end of an era, Bush recalled. He represented something pure about baseball, something that connected the game to its past. Nolan Ryan didn't just play baseball, he redefined what was possible for human longevity in sports. His career lasted 27 seasons, longer than some franchises had existed. He threw 5,386 innings, more than anyone in the modern era, and faced over 20,000 batters. But it's his strikeout record that truly shows Ryan's dominance. He struck out 5,714 batters, 839 more than second-place Randy Johnson. That's like having 2 full extra seasons worth of strikeouts over the next closest pitcher. If you removed Ryan's worst 3 seasons entirely, he'd still hold the record. 7 no-hitters? The next closest pitcher has 4. 12 one-hitters? Only Bob Feller had also done it before. Ryan holds the record for most strikeouts in a season at 383, most seasons with 300-plus strikeouts at 6, and most games with 15-plus strikeouts at 26. Here's the most insane stat. Ryan struck out 200-plus batters in a season 15 times. The entire rest of baseball history, everyone else combined, has done it 91 times. Ryan alone accounts for more than 14% of all 200 strikeout seasons ever. Ryan also holds the record for most walks allowed at 27.95, but even that shows his uniqueness. He was simultaneously the most unhittable and most unpredictable pitcher ever. Batters knew they might get walked, but they also knew they might get embarrassed by a 100-mile-per-hour fastball they never saw coming. His 1973 season might be the most dominant pitching performance ever. 383 strikeouts, 2.87 ERA, 2 no-hitters in the same season. He averaged 10.6 strikeouts per 9 innings when the league average was 5. It was like watching a man among boys. Even at age 42, Ryan led the American League in strikeouts. At 43, he threw a no-hitter. At 44, he struck out 232 batters. Players today start breaking down at 30, but Ryan was throwing 100 miles per hour past his 40th birthday. More than any pitcher in history, Ryan weaponized fear. Hitters stepped into the box knowing they might face a 102-mile-per-hour fastball at their head, followed by a curveball in the dirt. The mental game was half the battle won before Ryan ever threw a pitch. The sound of Ryan's fastball hitting the catcher's mitt was different, sharper, more violent. It was the sound of physics being pushed to its absolute limit. When people talk about power pitchers today, they're measuring against Ryan's standard. When a pitcher hits 100 miles per hour on the radar gun, announcers still reference Ryan-like velocity. When someone throws a no-hitter, they're chasing Ryan's record of 7. But Ryan's real legacy isn't just the numbers. It's proving that athletic careers don't have to follow conventional timelines. He showed that with proper conditioning, mechanics, and sheer determination, athletes can compete at the highest levels well into their 40s. The most telling comparison? When Ryan retired in 1993, active pitcher Roger Clemens had 2,590 career strikeouts. Clemens would play 14 more seasons and finish with 4,672 strikeouts, still more than 1,000 behind Ryan's total. Today's radar guns can measure pitch velocity to the decimal point, but they've never recorded anything quite like Ryan's combination of speed, longevity, and sheer intimidation. He was the Express, the Miracle Man, and most importantly, he was the pitcher who proved that sometimes legends really can throw 100 miles per hour for 27 years straight. Thanks for watching. Do you think any pitcher today can match Ryan's longevity and dominance? Comment below to let us know who you want to hear about next, and subscribe for more legendary baseball stories every week. This is Inside Baseball, where we bring you the best of the game.